The jury is now set to get the case in the trial of Elizabeth Holmes. Closing arguments just wrapped up a short time ago. The jurors are set to decide whether the once celebrated CEO of Theranos defrauded investors and lied to them about her company's supposedly revolutionary blood testing technology. CNBC's Scott Cohn has been covering the trial from the start. He's live outside the courthouse in San Jose. Scott?
Shep, at this moment, U.S. District Judge Edward Davila is wrapping up his final instructions to the jury. This is a crucial, if often overlooked, phase of the case where he tells them how to frame the things that they've heard over the last 13 weeks of testimony and a couple of days of closing arguments. It will then be up to a jury of 8 men and 4 women from in and around Silicon Valley to decide whether the toast of Silicon Valley was in fact a fraud. The case and the fate of Elizabeth Holmes will be in their hands shortly. It could be as soon as this evening, but not before they heard from her defense attorney, Kevin Downey, who for 3 hours today hammered on the theme that Holmes had no intent to defraud. That's an essential element of the crime. On the contrary, he said, she believed she was building a technology that would change the world, so much so that she never sold a single share of stock till the bitter end. The investors who plunged nearly $1 billion into the startup knew the risks they were taking, Downey said, and the evidence of botched Theranos testing, he said that was all anecdotal. But in rebuttal, Assistant U.S. Attorney John Bostic said Holmes deliberately painted a false picture of the company to investors and patients because she was desperate for Theranos to succeed, willing to do anything. The disease that plagued Theranos wasn't a lack of effort, it was a lack of honesty, Bostic argued. That started at the top being Elizabeth Holmes. So Judge Edward Davila, as I said, is instructing the jury. He is probably about 2/3 of the way through that, and what we don't know yet is whether he will have the jury start deliberating tonight. It's going on 5 p.m. Pacific time here, so we'll see whether they get it tonight or they start up on Monday. They have a lot to go through. And Shep, one of the things that we were looking for in these instructions was how the judge would instruct him on that issue of intent. The government clearly wanted a more broad view of what that constitutes. And in many ways, not in all ways, but in many ways, the judge did side with the government in that very crucial instruction.
Scott, once the jury does get this case, what's the buzz about how long this may take? There's a lot there.
There is a lot there, and that's one reason that it may be days as opposed to hours. Remember, there were 13 weeks of testimony, 32 witnesses, hundreds of exhibits. And this jury hasn't had a chance to speak to each other and actually deliberate until they actually get the case. And so they're going to want to go through that, and we know that that takes some time, and decide where they all stand. It could be quick, but it could be days. On the other side of the coin, next week is a holiday week. They only have 3 days, and jurors often like to get things done, finished, before a long holiday.